Hello, my name is Mr. Casey. Today we are going to be studying Unit 5, A Natural Balance, a different story called Siberian Survivors. And we're going to be talking about building, background, and comparisons. So let's get started. First, in this lesson, we're going to understand what building a background does to help us understand reading and writing tasks. Then we're going to understand how to make comparisons between two similar things, and we will do that using both a Venn diagram and a chart to compare and contrast. There are many ways to compare things. We'll show you two today. Then we'll use comparative adjectives as a language tool, and we're going to put all of this together by writing about animals. Let's get started. So here is our story that we're going to be previewing, and it's called Siberian Survivors. So question number one, before we start this section and before we read, what do you think is the purpose of the science feature Siberian Survivors? What is a possible answer? Why are we reading this? A possible answer is that some or all species of tigers are endangered. We talked about that last time when we read A Natural Balance. So maybe they're going to be talking about the tigers are endangered. Question number two, what do you think will be the author's viewpoint in this science feature? Last time we talked about viewpoint also. Possible that the viewpoint is tigers will be extinct unless animals act to protect them and their habitat. Now, why do we think this is true? What is the evidence? Why do I think that these are the answers? Well, first of all, we have context. Okay? We know what we talked about last time with A Natural Balance. We have the word survivors. Okay? So to survive, maybe they are endangered or about to be extinct. Okay? And also, this is what the unit is about. So I'm guessing from context. Next, building background. You can see here, building background. See efforts to save our environment. What is being done to protect wild animals and their habitats? Scientists from many countries are working together to save Siberian tigers. Now, our question, why do we need to build the background before we read this feature? Well, the answer is to establish context and to understand the purpose and viewpoint. Again, it's very important to know why we are reading, what is the purpose of the thing that we are reading, and what is the viewpoint of the author. Okay, now take 1 minute, pause the video, and read the text below. What is the author's main viewpoint? So, did you find it? Tigers are more in danger than other kinds of cats, right here. That's the viewpoint of this feature before we start reading it. So this is building the background. Okay, next, writing task number one. Write one paragraph to answer the author's question. What is being done to protect wild animals and their habitats? Right here. Okay, so what is a possible answer to this, and how can we find the answer? Here's a tip. Use context clues and evidence from the last lesson, okay, about a natural balance to help you answer this question. So go ahead and pause the video for 5 minutes and write one paragraph to answer their question. What is being done to protect wild animals and their habitats? Okay, here is an example of something that I wrote. It doesn't have to be right or wrong. This is something that I wrote. So here's an example. Many animals all over the world are threatened or endangered. Scientists and environmentalists are encouraging people to limit habitat loss and introduced species, as well as reduce pollution, population growth, and overconsumption due to human activities. Now, where did I find this evidence? Well, I found it in the story that we read last time, A Natural Balance, and they used hippo, okay, right, to help us remember the ideas of habitat loss introduced species, pollution, population growth, and overconsumption. That's where they came up with the word hippo. So I used that as evidence to say what is being done to protect wild animals and their habitats. Next, making comparisons. So here we see a cute little domestic cat and a Siberian tiger. So are there comparisons? Are there things that are the same and different about these two? So what I want you to do is take 5 minutes, read this narrative, it's all in the family, and write down 5 things that are the same and 5 things that are different for the Siberian tiger and the domestic cat in your notebook. So take 5 minutes and do that now. Okay, let's see if we have the same ideas. So the first way I'm going to show you today how to make comparisons is using what we call a Venn diagram. A Venn diagram is a very simple visual tool to compare and contrast. We use this in many subjects. You may have already used it in literature class, in geography class, in history class. This is a Venn diagram. That's all it takes, is 2 circles that overlap each other. Then at the top, because we're talking about the Siberian tiger and we're talking about the domestic cat, so in the center we list the things that are the same, and on the outside we list the things that are different for the two. So let's go through that. What's the same for the Siberian tiger and the domestic cat? Well, they're both from the cat family. They're actually related. They're both hunters. Now they don't hunt in the same way, but they're both hunters. They're natural hunters. They both have long tails. It says that in the narrative. They both have very strong hearing, and they also have very excellent vision. So it says in the narrative that these things are the same about the Siberian tiger and the domestic cat. Now, what are the things that make them different? First, the Siberian tiger is wild, and the domestic cat, domestic means that it lives in a house. It needs people to give it food. The Siberian tiger is larger, and the domestic cat is much smaller. The Siberian tiger is much more powerful. The domestic cat is weaker. The Siberian tiger is ferocious. One more time. Ferocious. Okay. And the domestic cat is tame. And also, when they hunt or go away from home, the Siberian tiger has a much wider range. It will travel a long ways looking for food. The domestic cat stays close to home because we provide the food for it. That's what makes it domestic. Okay, so this is a tool that we use to compare and contrast. Now, using comparative adjectives, you use a comparative adjectives to compare 2 things, places, or people. So here's an example. The tiger is fast, but the cheetah is faster. Okay, again, we're comparing, but we're using adjectives to do it. Here's another example. The tiger is more powerful than a house cat. Okay, so we can use adjectives to compare 2 things or places or people as well. Now, there are 2 ways to turn an adjective into a comparative adjective. We can add er, so green becomes greener, cold becomes colder, large becomes larger. The tiger is larger than the house cat. The other way to do it is to put more before the adjective. So if the adjective has 3 or more syllables, we always use more. Curious, more curious. Threatening, more threatening. Many cats are curious, but our cat Fluffy is more curious than most. Okay. If an adjective has 2 syllables or more, you can use either form. You can add er or you can use more. It is more common that we use more. So you can see friendly becomes friendlier or more friendly. Both are correct, but it is more common to say more friendly. And another example, fearless becomes more fearless, not fearlesser. Okay, so now it's time to practice. Take the adjective that's in the box here and change it to complete the sentence, okay, to make it a comparative adjective. So pause the video for 2 minutes and complete these 5 sentences. Ready? Number 1, the tiger is colorful, but the parrot is more colorful. Number 2, the rhinoceros is heavier than the tiger. Number 3, the cheetah is faster than the tiger. Number 4, a tiger is more dangerous than a cheetah. And number 5, a cat's hearing is more sensitive than a dog's hearing. So using comparative adjectives to tell how animals are alike and different. We've been talking about animals last time and today. Okay, so now let's use those skills to compare and contrast these animals. Here's an example in a chart instead of in a Venn diagram. Okay, before I showed you the 2 circles, the Venn diagram, here's a chart that we can use to compare and to contrast things. So this one is talking about 2 animals, a jaguar and an Amazon parrot. Okay, so what is the appearance? The jaguar is tan or orange fur with black spots, large paws, and sharp claws. The parrot's appearance, or how it looks, is different. Green, yellow, and blue feathers, big beak, long claws. Okay, habitat, where do they live? The jaguar lives in Central and South America. The parrot lives in Central and South America also, so they're the same. The diet, do they eat the same thing? Do they eat something different? The jaguar eats meat and fish. The parrot eats vegetables, fruits, seeds, grains, and nuts. So they have a different diet, but the same habitat. And other important facts. The jaguar is a strong swimmer and hunter. The parrot can talk and sing. So in many ways they're the same. In many ways they're different. So how do we make comparisons? We tell how things are alike, we tell how things are different, and we use comparison words to compare details about the 2 things. Both the jaguar and the parrot live in Central and South America. The parrot is more colorful than the jaguar. The jaguar and the parrot have different diets and abilities. So now we're talking about how they are the same and how they are different. Now, let's practice this using this chart. Okay, again, before we use the Venn diagram, the 2 circles, now we're going to compare these 2 animals using the chart, the same as we did over here with the jaguar and the parrot. So let's compare and contrast these 2 animals. So what I want you to do is pause the video for 10 minutes so that you can go on the internet and research these 2 animals, the panda bear and the koala bear. And I want you to find out about their appearance. What do they look like? What is their habitat? Where do they live? Diet, what do they eat? And some other important facts. See what you can find out. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video for 10 minutes and do your own research and fill in this chart. And then we'll check and see if I have the same answers as you. Okay, so here is my answers. And my answers might not be the same as yours. Okay, and again, when we make comparisons, we tell how things are alike, how they're different, and we use comparison words to compare details about the 2 things. So here is our cute panda bear, and here's our cute koala bear. What did we learn about these 2 things to compare and contrast them? Well, appearance. Okay, we can see from the picture here, the panda bear has thick black and white fur with black eye patches and cute white tails. The koala looks different. It has a large round head, big furry ears, and a big black nose. Okay. How about their habitat? Where do they live? Do they live in the same places? The panda bear lives in large bamboo forests in the high mountains. The koala bear lives in coastal islands and low coastal woodlands. So they live in different places. Okay, this is something that's different. What about their diet? Are they the same or are they different? Panda bears eat bamboo. Koala bears eat eucalyptus leaves or a gum tree. Okay, so they are both vegetarian. They are alike in that they don't eat meat or animals, okay, but they eat different kinds of plants. And other important facts. A panda bear is a kind of bear. It's a species of bear. But, maybe you found this out, the koala bear is not actually a bear. It's what's called a marsupial species. Another kind of marsupial is a kangaroo. So, they actually are not from the same species. Okay. So, writing about an animal using descriptive adjectives. So, descriptive details add a lot of interest to your writing. Words that tell how things look, sound, smell, taste, and feel help readers see and experience what you are writing about. Okay, so read the 2 examples of using descriptive adjectives. We talked about descriptive adjectives in our last lesson, and then compare the writing. Okay, we're going to be looking at 2 descriptions of the playful manatee, which is another endangered species. You can see a picture of the manatee here. Okay, so here is 1 and here is 2. Okay, so pause the video for 3 minutes and read these 2 examples about the manatee, okay, and tell me how they are different. Here we go. So the first one we can see is listed as just okay. The writer gives few descriptive details. Okay? It says large mammals related to the elephant. Now, does the second writer do a better job? This writer adds colorful details. These words help readers picture a manatee more clearly. These large, gentle animals are related to the elephant. They live in the warm coastal waters around Florida. Okay, this writer just says live in the waters around Florida. We don't know what the water is like. Warm coastal waters tells us a lot more. It gives us descriptive details. Okay? Manatees use their front flippers to steer and their powerful flat tails to push themselves through shallow water. This is very descriptive writing, much better way to explain the animal. So, let's put it all together. Now, we're going to use descriptive adjectives, comparative adjectives, and building background to connect ideas, okay, what is the purpose and viewpoint of writing, to write about an animal that is endangered. So here's an example. The Sumatran elephant is a rare and gorgeous species that lives on the Indonesian island of Sumatra. The elephant has lost much of its original habitat because of massive human hunting. The massive Sumatran elephants can stand 2 to 3.5 meters tall and weigh 2,000 to 4,000 kilograms. The Asian elephants are more likely to possess a light-colored coat as compared to African species. Baby Sumatran elephants can stand on their legs only 30 minutes after birth. Sumatran elephants have a lifespan of 60 to 75 years in the wild. There was a time when the Sumatran elephant was widespread, but it is now a critically endangered species. Okay, so this is my writing. Did I use descriptive adjectives? Yes, things like rare and gorgeous. Did I use comparative adjectives? Yes, more likely to possess a light-colored coat as compared to African species of elephants. Okay. Did I build background? Yeah, talked about where they lived. Okay, and what is the purpose? This is a critically endangered species, so it's important that we protect their habitat. That is the purpose and the viewpoint of the writing. So for next time, I want you to do the same. I want you to find another endangered animal and write a paragraph about it that describes it using descriptive adjectives, comparative adjectives, and then build the background, the purpose and the viewpoint of the writing so we understand about this endangered animal. So, here's your other homework. Change the comparative adjectives in this box. We already practiced this once. Okay, so here's 5 more. Change the adjective to a comparative adjective. Okay, and then also, I want you to write another paragraph, okay, using descriptive adjectives, comparative adjectives, and then building background, the purpose and viewpoint, to write about your favorite animal. Okay, so if you could write all of that, and then I will see you next time. Thank you.